My dear fourth grade children, good morning to all. How are you, ma? Are you fine? I hope that you are doing very well. So, let us start to study social science online class. Do you like to study social science? Okay. Okay, shall we start? Okay, ma. Now listen here. Today we are going to study the new lesson, that is lesson number 9. The title of the lesson is Early Human History Important Developments. What's the title, ma? Early Human History Important Developments. The unit number 9. This is history second lesson. History first lesson, the timeline and calendar. Timelines and calendars in the previous class we have learned, that is a previous lesson also. So now we started to study the new lesson. The title of the lesson is Early Human History Important Developments. Okay, ma. We know that what is history? History means in the sense of past events. Okay? In the sense of past. That is in the knowledge of past. What happened in the past. Okay. Something happened. That means something happened that is very important or unusual, that all the events happened in the past that we study, that is a history. So from this lesson we will see that the early human history, what is the important developments. Okay, ma? Okay, now see that. Can you see the picture of early humans? Where they lived? First of all, this early human lived in caves. Caves, cave means, do you know? CAVE, cave. That is a large hole in the side of the hill or under the ground. Inside, that early people lived inside the holes, fully dark. Small, only one hole in the side of the biggest hill or under the ground. So inside that people live. Then how did they live? They lived inside that cave and ate the food also. How did they eat? First of all, they ate the flesh of the animals. They don't know cooking. They use the stone to tear the flesh of the animals. The raw flesh, first of all, they ate the raw flesh. Then, in the later, mainly they are. Okay, ma? My dear children, how are you? Are you fine? I hope that you are doing very well. Let us start to study social science. Now our social science section. Okay, shall we start? Okay, now listen here, ma. Today, new lesson. The title of the lesson is Early Human History, Important Developments, Lesson 9. So, from this lesson, we know this early humans' history. What is history? That's you know very well. Yes, that history means the study of past events. Event means what, man? Event past event means something happened in the past that is very important or unusual. So this something happened in the past that is a history. Important events that we see that now. So first of all, this early human lived in caves. Cave means the spell that word cave, CAVE. Cave means, do you know, that is a large hole in the side of the hill or under the ground. It's so dark. People lived inside the hills. Then, how did they get the food? Mostly they are hunters gatherers. Hunters means they hunting the animals, hunting the wild animals, and gatherers means collecting the seeds, fruits. Okay, so the in search of food, they are wanted move from one place to another in search of food. Early human moved one place to another in search of food. First of all, they don't know farming. What is farming? That's we know. Farming means growing up plants. For why we grow plants? Need for food. But early period, the people don't know farming. Okay, because mainly they used the flesh of the animals. They don't know how to cooking also. First, tear the flesh of the animals by use of stones and ate the raw flesh. But later, thousand of years later, that is after they realized that they noticed many plants had seeds that could be eaten, and that if the seeds fell on the ground, okay, plants had seeds that could be eaten, and that the seeds fell on the ground, they grew into new plants. Okay, first of all they don't know, but later they noticed that many plants had seeds and they could be eaten, and that the seeds fell on the ground, they grow into new plants. So they realized that these seeds from one or two plants would give them a lot of plants that would provide food for many people. So first of all, they don't know farming because they are hunting the wild animals. But later means thousands, thousands of years after, they after the people realized that seeds from plants need to grow into new plants. This is and these seeds give a lot of plants that would provide food for many people. So this was a big discovery. It was the start of farming. Do you understand, Ma? First of all, people don't know farming because they ate flesh of the animals. Later, they realized that they saw seeds, and that seeds are also grow into plants. The plants give us food, and they realized that farming. Okay, this was the big discovery. It was the start of farming. It's a very important development in the human history. So, the knowledge about the farming is the very important development in the human history. So, we study the history means past events. Events means, do you know ma? Something happened. Okay. So, this farming, start of farming is a very important development in the human history. Okay, farming started long after the human beings first appeared on earth. Now listen here, the farming is not started. Human beings appeared on earth. At that time, the farming is not started. This farming started long years after, thousands of years after. First, this people appeared, but this farming started long after human beings first appeared on earth. So, and it changed the way the people had lived for thousands of years. So, what is this mean? Now listen here. First of all, these ancient people lived inside the caves. They ate the flesh of animals. They tear the flesh of the animals by using the stones. They ate the raw flesh. They don't know how to cooking. They don't know. Like the animals, the early human beings also lived. So early human beings appeared. At that time, there is no knowledge about the farming. So thousands of years after, the at that time the people, the living people, at that time the people lived. They saw that some of the plants grow and the seeds and fruits are useful for food. It is used as food. Then they realized that from the seeds the plants grow. These plants give us valuable food items. So they got the knowledge about farming. So the farming started long after human beings appeared. That is very important. Okay. Then they did not need to wander about in search of food. Otherwise, for example, nowadays these animals are move here and there. Early morning, get up outside in our house. Dogs moving here and there, and birds also moved. This totally these animals moving here and there. For what purpose? In search of food. Like that, the early human beings also wandered from one place to another place in search of food. Mainly their food is hunting the wild animals and gatherings. Gatherings means collecting the seeds, nuts, like that. So, so this knowledge of farming started. After that, people not at all moved, not at all wandered from one place to another in search of food. They could live near the place where they grow their food and have a settled life. Later, the knowledge of farming got after they could live near the place where they grow their food and have a settled life. Where they get the food, that place near, they settled their life. They understood. Okay. As people's lives become more settled, then small villages grow. Many of these villages grow into towns and cities later. Do you know? First of all, the people lived inside the cave and they wanted, in search of food, mainly their, how did they get the food means they're hunting the wild animals or collecting, that is a hunting and gatherers. Later they got the knowledge about farming, the start of farming. Then they realized that the seeds grow into plants, the plants give us food. So they lived near the place of their food and have a settled life. As people's lives become more settled, number of peoples lived in particular place, then forming a village, and these villages grow into town and cities later. Okay, this is the development, important development in the past history. Early farmers used to store for the things they needed, like bowls or grinding stones to grind grain. That is, now listen here, ma. Do you understood? Now listen here. These early farmers used to starting time they have no weapons, but they used the stones for weapons. Like that, these early farmers used stones for the things they needed, like bowls or grinding stones to grind grain. Now listen here. Now we used grinding purpose. Grinding means we use the grinder or mixing we have for grinding the something grains. Food items we needed to grinding. We use the grinder and use the mixie also. But early people also. Early people means not at all first appeared on earth. The human beings first appeared on earth. That time they have not get that knowledge. Then little later development started. They got the knowledge about farming and settled in the villages, and villages grow into cities grow into towns, and towns grow into cities. Okay, so they got the knowledge about this use of the weapons like bowls or grinding stones. For what purpose the grinding stones used means grind the cereals like means some food items for grinding into small pieces. They used the stones. Okay. Later, people realized that clay was soft and easy to work, and that it became hard when it was dried and near a fire. Then they realized that yes, this clay. Do you know the clay? Yes. Yes, you always use that. Okay. Now listen here, ma. They realized that clay was very soft and easy to work, and that it became very hard. First of all, it is very soft and easy to do. In whatever wishes we used to make it. by the use of clay, isn't it? Like that, the people realized clay was soft and easy to work with it, and became it is hard when it dried near a fire. First of all, the clay was very soft only, easy to make, easy to do work. Then later, if it is dry near the fire means it is very hard. So they begin to make things they needed out of the clay, like bowls or pots, clay pots, to store the food item. Grain means that is rice, wheat, the store inside the pot, clay pot. They got that knowledge. Okay, this is the development. Okay, ma. Then now listen here. Okay, fine. Now listen here. Then later development, that few people were needed to grow food for everyone in the village. Some of the people only needed to grow food. That is, some few people were needed to grow food. Some of the people only did the farming, and other people had time to do different things, such as making clay objects. Okay, some of the people only did the farming, and other people they did other works, that is forming of clay, then clay objects. Okay, that the discovery of forming led to many other changes, some of which will now listen here. The discovery of forming, they got the knowledge about the start of forming, then after many development in the history. What is history? History is the study of past events. Past events means, the spell that word events. What's the meaning of events? Events means something happened in the past. Something happened. It is very important. That is okay. So this the early people, human beings, appeared on the earth. At that time they don't know that knowledge about this forming, but later thousands of years after, at that time living to people, they got the knowledge about forming. Then this start of forming after human history has very great development. Okay, so then first of all they used that this early people, they don't know this forming knowledge. Then later they got the idea, and they got that idea about how to store the food items. So they make clay pot, and inside they store the food items, and grinding the big particles into small pieces by using the stones. Okay, then they discovered metals also. Metals are discovered. Like the tools of the hunter gatherers, the first forming tools were also of stone. Their weapon is, that is tools, that is stone only. Okay, they had wooden handles. First they used that clay, then later they used wooden handles. After the start of farming, people discovered how to use metals. The start of farming. They got the knowledge about the farming. That is, they got the knowledge about how to grow up the plants, how to get the food from the plants. That knowledge, that is the start of farming. The farming knowledge they got after people discovered how to use metals. The first metal that people used was copper. What's the first metal that people use? That is a copper. That is, copper means that is a red metal. Can you see that copper? Copper vessel in our house? Huh? That is a red metal. Though people continue to use stone tools, they also used copper to make tools. First of all, they used tools for mainly stone. The early people, that is a human being appeared on the earth, they used the stone to tear the flesh of the animals and they ate food. But so now the people continue to use stone tools. They also used copper to make tools. However, copper is a soft metal and the tools needed to be sharpened. But now listen here, the copper is a very soft metal. Tools means it is very sharper. So then after they discovered that bronze. Okay, ma? That is also, it is a very hard metal, bronze. Okay. So today we studied the lesson early human history, important developments. This is the history second lesson. That do you know? Because 8th lesson is a history starting, isn't it? So this is 9th lesson means history second lesson. So today we study the second lesson. From this lesson we studied the early human, how they lived, okay, and they started the start of farming and discovered the metals. Okay, so today I give these timelines and calendars, question answer. You copy it neatly. Any doubt means call me. Okay, fine. Thank you, ma.